Okay, so what I'm doing here is I am going to go into this little tool, this little create tool in my Embrilliance software. And I am going to go over to add true type art, the little TT, click that. And then you're going to get this little box and all the fonts that are installed on your computer will display here. So I already know what I'm going to be stitching out or what I'm going to be creating. So I'm just going to put the words or the letters DAD here to spell out dad. And I can see this one, it's not the one that I want to use. So I'm going to click this little drop down box. And usually what I do is if I'm not sure what I want to use, I look here to see like which one will look like it will be ideal for doing applique. So I know some of the ones that I use generally, but I'm just doing this for illustration purposes. So I'm just going to go through here and it's up to your choosing like how you want to do your applique, like how thin you want the letters and all that good stuff. I like my letters pretty wide because like I'm going to be using fabric for this design, and so I want the fabric to show through. So I see Arial Black here, but I don't want to use that one. Um, so I'm just going to keep going. And that's why it's best to type the word out that you want to use because you will see the display of that word. Now, if you just go in here and say, oh, I know I want to use, you know, Baskerville Old Face, then boom, you don't have to do that. You could just go choose it and then type it in. However you choose to do this, everybody has their own way of doing this part, I'm sure. So I'm just gonna keep going. I don't have a whole lot of fonts, but I do have a good assortment. Now I do like this one a little bit, Candle, but I'm gonna keep going. I want it just a little bit wider. And the way I have what do I have? I have Essentials, Level 1, and Enthusiast. So I have even started going in, like if I pick one of these fonts and I don't really like the way that it looks, I start playing around with the nodes to move the letters more to my liking. You know, any little curves or lines, things like that. This is a pretty good one. Let me click on it. Franklin Gothic Heavy. Let's see. So I just resize it when I do that. Yeah, this is a pretty good one. This one looks really clean. So this would be actually a perfect one. This is not the normal one I use, but actually now that I'm looking at this one, I kind of like this one more than the other one that I use. But anyway, so I do all of this stuff first. I know sometimes people do these next steps first before they even do all the sizing, but that's just me. I like to size it up a little bit before I start, adding stitches and all that good stuff. So, all right. Um, so my largest hoop here, you can see is the 10 by 6. So I like my designs. This will be a front chest design. So I'm going to just make it as big as I can. This is going to be a lot of stitches from my single needle, but that's usually the case. And then here you can see how big the design is right here, how big your design is once you're done playing around with it. Now keep in mind, I still have to add stitches. So once I'm satisfied with this part, what I do next is I just make sure this whole thing is selected, which it is. I'm going to right click and hit copy. And then I'm going to hit paste once. Then I'm going to hit paste again. And I see this is separated because I was working in here before, but usually you get three separate um, designs here. So this is fine. This is okay. I know how to work with it just like this too. So I made all three copies because this is going to be applique, and this is like the manual way of doing applique. And I learned this technique from Tanish Fortson at KTS Apparel, but this is kind of like the way she does it. And so this is actually how I learned to do applique on the letters. And it actually, ironically enough, it was on the word dad that I saw her do this. So anywho, now that I have all three copies, you're going to have your placement, your tag down, and your satin is going to be the last one. So I'm going to choose, I'm going to highlight the first three. And with that, now I'm going to add my stitches. So the first one will be your run stitch. And I'm going to do a single run. And I'm not going to tie the entry and the exit. Those they don't default automatically. I was working in here earlier, so that's why it's defaulting. And I'm just going to leave that alone. After I do single run, no tie at entry nor at the exit. Okay, that one's done. Then I'm going to go back over here now and do my second part. And then I'm going to hit run again, but this time I am going to do a double run, and this time I will leave it tied at the entry and the exit, but normally you'll have to click this. And then your last one is going to be your satin stitch or your final stitch. So I'm going to highlight those three, then I'm going to come here and I'm going to click satin border. And then you can come in here and play around with this to your liking. This one looks pretty good to me. I don't want it to be too thick because in my personal opinion, since this will be like something for a guy, you know, not the overly thick stitches, I think, or the overly thick border for the men, in my opinion. But, you know, you may have a different opinion. But you can see when you change the width, like how big or how wide the border will get. I mean, that 4.0 doesn't look too bad. So what I'm going to do is take it down to 3.5 and just leave it at that. And then I'm not going to change any of this other stuff, but I am going to make sure that everything is still tied. And then here you have the option of choosing your underlay. Now, I went in here earlier and I took some of these out because I just left the edge run. The reason I did it is because I have a single needle. So let me show you something. When I select all three of those, it tells you down here that I'm at 12,468 stitches. And this is just an applique, right? So if I go in here and let me click off those because I don't want to mess with those. I just want to do my satin border. If I go back to the underlay and I can choose parallel, you see it added more stitches. I can choose zigzag along and it added more stitches. And usually it is defaulted to all three of these. And I don't mess with this over here, but you could. I don't. But I was thinking in my mind like, ooh, I don't want all these extra stitches. But here, if you unclick zigzag, you can just do the parallel in the edge run. That's fine. Or if you don't want to do any of them, you'll have just the edge run. But I am going to run the parallel stitch on this one too. With it being an applique, I will do that. So I'm up to 13,964 stitches. So that's pretty much, you guys, that's pretty much how I do that. But now I'm going to go back over here and I am going to select this and change the color. With it being an applique, I need my machine to be signaled to stop. So I'm going to choose a dad-friendly color. I mean, you can choose whatever color you want. I'm just it doesn't matter, but I'm just the weirdo who likes to kind of see the colors that I may use for, that I'm going to use for the design. So, and I have mine on candle poly. Of course, you can come here and choose whichever brand you want. And I think with Enthusiast, I believe, once you have Enthusiast, you can create your own thread catalog. So I did recently start using Floriani. I only have like a few of them, but this is the Floriani colors and all that good stuff. Or if you use what I started out with was the Bro thread when I first started out. So you have that one as well. And I actually like theirs more to choose my colors. So I'll probably just stick in here. Like we have a nice, what is that? Like a nice navy blue. And that's not even going to be my top thread. So I'll choose that one again. So I'll remember that number. Then for the next one is going to be the tack down stitch. And then I'm going to choose, I'll just choose this green. And then for the satin border, I'll choose that first color again. And I think it was N207. Yep. So this is the one that'll show on the top. And then also, once you are in here, you can go over to your applique button and click fabric preview. You don't need to click on position and material because you already handled that part up here, but you can, if you opt to, click on fabric preview. Now, quite honestly, something I learned recently with Embrilliance and the levels that I have is how to, like, I can save as a PNG. So I do all my own mock-up photos and stuff. Now I'll take a photo of the actual garment, but I also like to put my designs on mock-ups, on like the mock-up models. So you can do that for this. Like, say for instance, if you're satisfied with this the way that it is, like if you're going to do the interior as, blue or whatever, the reason I think, is it showing blue because that's the, let me see something. Yeah. No? Wait a minute. Okay. Anyway, it's irrelevant. So anyway, you can, view the color and stuff up in here, but I don't do that. I usually just leave it off. There's no need for me to see it. Oops, I only had those two chosen. Just take that off. But yeah. So anyway, it's fairly simple to do this way. And again, you can do it the other way. And now I'm going to show you the other way too, how to do it with just the applique function on here. So I'm just going to open another project. I'm going to change the side, rotate my hoop. And then I'm going to do this again real quick. So it should come up with the same font again. Yep, so I'm just going to type that in. And what I didn't say before is feel free to move these letters around the way that you choose. I just didn't do it. I mean, if you want this to be a little closer, I may go back and move stuff around before I actually stitch this out. But okay, so I have the word dad, and now all I need to do is go up here to applique, and you click on that, and voila, you have your applique, right? So it tells you, now it did come in as satin, but usually it comes in as e-stitch, and you have to go in here and change it to satin. So you can still go in here. You see the density is 5, the stitch width is 3, and I think I had mine at 3.5 on the other one. So you can do this however you like. But you do see here position and material is chosen. So that automatically defaults. Now, what doesn't default is the fabric preview, and it shows you the colors here. Now, one thing to note, you notice I only had 3 layers on the other one. Here you have 3 layers, but it is separating out these all one by one. So let me show you on the stitch simulator. So it's going to stitch the first D, is going to do the whole thing. So that would mean if you are using HTV or your fabric, you're going to have to lay that down one letter at a time. One letter at a time, one letter at a time. So it's doing each one of these individually. Now, to simplify this, I'm just going to go ahead and stop this. To simplify it, the only thing you need to do is do a color sort. So what I'm going to do is go up here to Utility, and then I'm going to click Color Sort. Give it a second, and then it says the design page has been reduced by 6 color changes, because that's what you were going to have to do on the other one. So now what you do is click New View, and then I'm going to, okay. So now let's see how it will stitch out. Oh, you can see the difference right here. You have applique position, applique material, and then your final stitch. So it's different. So let me show you what I mean. So you see it did the placement, it's doing the tack down separate, and it's doing the final satin stitch. All together. It did all of those all together instead of separating each one of them out. So the only thing you would need to do here is just lay your fabric or your HTV down just over the entire thing and let the machine do its magic, right? So on the other way, you would have had to lay it down on each individual letter. So it simplifies it when you do the color sort. So I'm going to stop this again. Okay. And that's really it. There's just, and it does create a separate tab for you. So you can save this one. You can save that one too. You'll send this one to your machine. You can save this one like this if you want to. Or you can not, but you do have the option to edit this one that you originally did. This one does not let you edit. So just pay attention to that before you delete the other one if you don't want to create a design all over again. So this one only allows you to go in and change the satin and fill density on this one. You cannot edit on this one when you do the color sort. So I would not delete this one. I would not delete my original file. So yeah, but that's really it. That's the way that I do it. I am going to get this one stitched out, and then I'll come back so that you can see what it looks like. But if you guys have any questions, if you have, another way that you feel like maybe easier, I want to see how you guys do it. Now, doesn't mean I'm going to do it your way. I mean, I'm going to probably do it the way that works for me, but I'm just curious to see how you all do yours if you digitize your own designs in here. And this is basic digitizing. I am a newbie to digitizing. This is basic. I do not know yet how to take a PNG and create the design with the points. I'm working on that. But even before I started embroidery, I liked words, phrases, things of that nature. So I knew I would lean heavily on letters. So that's why I wanted to master that part of it first. So if you guys are interested, let me know in the comments. I will be more than happy to show how I do this same process. Sometimes it's a little different depending on the font that you choose, but for script fonts, they are a little, they can be a little funky. So let me know in the comments if you guys are interested in a tutorial on how I digitize script fonts. But yeah, so this is it, guys. This is all for now. Just stay tuned for the final stitch out on this one.